First Coast News Weather Team, certified by Weather Rate, sponsored by AC Designs.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Friday to you. Welcome in, beautiful people. We have made it officially now to the weekend. Thank God, right? This is the last weekend before Christmas. Any last-minute festivities, gift shopping that you might need to get done? You only got a few days left. Christmas is now less than a week away, 6 days to be in fact. So, because you got to give yourself time to not only go out, get the present, but you got to make sure you have enough wrapping paper, then wrap the present itself, because nothing is worse than you have some wrapping paper, but not enough, and only like half that box is covered. So you got to make sure you get out, get everything you need before next Wednesday. Because don't be that person on Christmas Eve who's scrambling to get everything done. Try to be a little proactive, get things done ahead of time. That makes a holiday a lot less stressful out there for you. Talking about stress, Jags fans, they might be a little stressed out this weekend, heading out to the Mile High City Empower Field there at Mile High Stadium in Denver, taking on the Broncos. We got a live look for you out of Golden, Colorado. Now, this is about 15 to 20 miles to the west of downtown Denver and the stadium itself. Surprisingly, not really any snow for them right now. They more often than not, they can get very cold temperatures and snow for this time of the year. But thankfully, in the Jags case, this is pretty much what the weather's going to look like for the majority of the game, really. Mild temperatures by Colorado and Denver standards. Game kicks off at 4:05 Eastern time. But remember, Denver is in the Mountain Time Zone. So 2 p.m. kickoff Denver time. Temperatures at kickoff right around 60 degrees, upper 50s at the very least. It'll be a real light breeze, but rather mild and warm, stand dry for the whole game. Check out that sunset, though, 4:37. So it does get dark rather early out there in the Mile High City, but looking good for the Jags, at least weather-wise, especially considering what it typically looks like during this time of the year. Their average highs for mid-December in the low to mid 40s, average lows in the teens. So theoretically, if the weather was normal for the game, kickoff temperatures would probably be in the 40s, cooling off into the 30s, perhaps even the 20s by the fourth quarter and the end of the game out there, especially once the sun sets. Temperatures drop pretty quick out there in the Rockies, so or at least in eastern Colorado. So the Jags kind of lucking out. We talked about this game early in the season, really during training camp, about imagine the Jags having to go into Denver, having to deal with the cold and the snow. Thankfully, not having to deal with that. So Jags fans, if you are heading out to Denver, perhaps your flight has already left. But if it hasn't, you don't need to be too concerned about packing that big winter coat, the knit beanie, the gloves. You might want gloves. Hands might get a little cold. But overall, going to be a rather warm day by Denver standards out there for the Jags and Broncos game this weekend. So looking good for them. We're going to bring it back closer to home, give you a live look at Jacksonville Beach. Pretty similar look to it. Now, we toss away the mountains and give you the beach and the ocean, but still a lot of sun out there, not many clouds, if any, out across the First Coast, besides some just real high level clouds. We want to show you some current temperatures out there too. It has been a pretty warm day for most folks. It's been in the 70s across much of the area, 72 there in Jacksonville, mid 70s as you head a little bit further south. You got 74 at Orange Park, 75 in St. Augustine. Whew. Check out Palm Coast there in Flagler County, 79. Whereas some more northern locations, a good bit cooler. You got 67 in Waycross and 66 in Valdosta. So some folks might think it's still a little bit chilly, but for many around the Jacksonville metro area and further south into St. Johns and Clay counties, it has been a very sunny, warm afternoon in the 70s. Now, it has been quite breezy. Winds have been out of the northwest, 10 to 15 miles per hour, at least sustained winds, thanks to this morning's cold front that moved through very, very early this morning, right around about 6 to 7 a.m. We've had gusts upwards of about 20 to 25, so windy at times, but thanks to the sun and some of the temperatures, it still feels rather warm out there, at least for the time being. Now, that's not going to last all that much longer, so make the most of your Friday night. Get out there, enjoy it because once the sun sets tonight, temperatures, they're going to tumble right down the stairs pretty quick, out of the 70s into the 60s by 6, 7 p.m., and then eventually down into the 50s, and then into the 40s, perhaps even the upper 30s for some of our inland locations. So the National Weather Service, they have issued a frost advisory. That's going to be in place from 3 a.m. until 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. This does include pretty much the western side of Duval County. So if you live along and west of the I-295 Beltway on the west side, you're included in that frost advisory. West of I-95 in inland Nassau County, similar story for Camden and Glenn counties as well. And then Baker, Columbia, Charlton, Brantley, Pierce, and Ware counties also all included in that frost advisory tomorrow morning. I am not expecting a hard freeze. I do think there will be some isolated locations west of Highway 301. So again, our inland communities that might get down to about that 31 to 33 degree temperature range. So a minor or a short-lived freeze in some spots out there. But nonetheless, it's going to be a rather cold, chilly, frosty start to your Saturday morning. So you are going to need the winter coat and perhaps the beanie when you're waking up and taking the dog for a walk out there tomorrow morning. Yeah, going to be a little bit chilly. Now, the good news, it's going to warm up by almost 30 degrees by the afternoon. So you're starting the day in the low 40s at the very least, and then quickly warming up so that by lunchtime you're in the upper 50s to near 60. By the afternoon, we're talking 2, 3, 4 o'clock, upper 60s, close to 70 degrees, kind of depending on where you're at. Some of our more southern locations, we're talking Putnam County, southern Clay, southern St. John's down toward Hastings. We'll certainly have a very good chance of reaching the low 70s tomorrow. Coastal areas, though, a tad bit cooler. Mid-60s from Mayport up to St. Simons, Jekyll Island, Brunswick as well. So we'll have some cooler spots out there, but it really should be a rather nice day. Lots of sun, and overall, actually, pretty seasonable temperatures for this time of the year. Not a whole lot of a change for your Sunday. A chilly start to the morning again, mid-40s. We will watch for some patchy fog to develop, especially across inland areas on Sunday morning. I don't think it'll be a lot. So if you're in like an early riser for a church service or something like that, I wouldn't be too concerned, but just don't be surprised if your visibilities are down to 7 or 5 miles. That's not a lot to be super impactful, but there could be some patchy fog out there, especially along some of the waterways and things of that nature. But plenty of warm sunshine by the afternoon. I mean, we're getting up into the low 70s again, a weak north breeze, but overall it's looking good. And there's no rain in the forecast this weekend. So if you do have to get out and do some Christmas shopping, you don't have to be concerned about like quickly running from the storefront to your car to make sure you and the presents you just spent a lot of money on aren't getting soaked out there. Don't have to worry about that. And similar, story if you're going out to any festive events, you're going over to Blackhawk Bluff to check out the Christmas lights. You're going down to Nights of Lights in St. Augustine. It's all looking good, at least weather-wise. You might have to fight some of the traffic out there, but weather-wise, we are looking good. Now, we are going to have a front move in Sunday into Monday. That's why we'll have a north breeze through most of the day on Sunday. This isn't going to bring us much in the way of rain. Well, it's not at all, really. This will be a dry front, but there is a very strong pressure gradient behind it. And what that typically means is the closer or the tighter the pressure gradient is, the stronger the winds are, and a very strong area of high pressure off to our north. That's a lot of scientific weather jargon. What does that mean? Essentially, that pressure gradient and the high moving in, it's going to ramp up those northeast winds throughout much of the day on Monday. So we're going to take a quick break here in a couple of seconds. When we come back, we're going to talk about temperatures being a little bit cooler to start off early next week and just how windy it could be, not only in downtown, but also out at the beaches where typically the strongest and highest wind gusts are seen. So we'll talk about that. Then, of course, we're going to look ahead to your Christmas Eve and your Christmas Day weather forecast, not only here on the home front on the First Coast, but also across the rest of the country. So we're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll come back. We'll talk about it here in just a little bit, guys. Welcome back in, folks. We talked a good bit about the weekend forecast, and really there's only so many adjectives that you can use to describe how beautiful, how wonderful, how magnificent it will be looking and feeling like out there. So let's move beyond the weekend. Let's talk about early next week. Really 3 things to note here for Monday. 1, going to be a little bit cooler. Temperatures in the mid-60s. 2, there will be the chance for maybe 1 or 2 isolated coastal showers behind a cold front that'll move in. These will be very, very shallow showers. So we're talking, from the intercoastal to the beaches, only about a 15 to 20% chance of rain. It will be low, but maybe 1 or 2, real quick showers might try to sneak their way in. So isolated coastal shower. And then 3rd, it will be rather windy. Wind's going to ramp up significantly behind that front out of the northeast, sustained about 15 to 25 miles per hour, but we could see some wind gusts upwards of about 30 for areas like St. Augustine, Jacksonville Beach, Mayport. I would say even up as far as St. Mary's and Jekyll Island or St. Simon's Island, they could see wind gusts 25 to 30 miles per hour. So it is going to be a rather windy day at times on Monday with some of those isolated coastal areas. Now, if you live along or west of I-95, so we're talking, if you live on the south side, if you live in San Marco or Riverside or up in Callahan, rain chances are almost at about 0 for Monday. So we're mainly just talking out about at the beaches and the coastline. Most of us will just see mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies. It'll be a chilly day, and again, rather windy out there. But otherwise, that's about it for the huge talking points, at least locally, early next week. When we're looking, especially during this time of the year, it is very synoptic driven. So large-scale weather patterns. We'll look at really 2 things first, the subtropical jet stream and that polar jet stream. The subtropical jet is rather, low to our south, not really even on the map here. And then that polar jet, typically when we get big storm systems during this time of the year, if they don't come up out of the Gulf, they have to come from this polar jet stream kind of dipping down toward Jacksonville and bringing us some sort of rain or storm event. As you'll notice here, this is what we call a zonal flow. So pretty much straight across the country from west to east. So not a whole lot of this going on. It's pretty much just straight across. So some pretty zonal flow moving across the country. And that's just not really allowing any storm system to be steered our way. You fast forward it to the middle of next week, so we're talking Christmas Eve, approaching Christmas. We got a nice ridge of high pressure across the south central portion of the United States, so you can almost kind of see it there over Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Oklahoma, so the Arklatex region. Big high pressure, so that jet stream kind of arcs over the central part of the country and kind of comes back down around over the northeast and New England states. That's never going to really bring us any sort of storm system. So what does this mean for us? Well, the southeast is going to stay pretty quiet. This weekend, there's going to be a little weak clipper system up across the northeast. High pressure moves in behind it. We've talked about that. The high that moves in, that's going to ramp up our winds for much of Monday. But it's also going to keep us pretty dry as it stays pretty much just to our northeast for Tuesday, Wednesday, and even into Thursday. There will be another system kind of being steered by that polar jet stream across the upper Midwest and the Mid-Atlantic and New England states. So you'll notice here, Tuesday, rain is possible kind of north of Charlotte up across Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, and then perhaps some snow for northeastern Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, and then up across the New England states. But then high pressure moves right back in behind it. That'll pretty much be in place for us for your Christmas Eve and your Christmas Day. And there will be another storm system out towards the west. The west coast could see plenty of rain and perhaps a good amount of mountain snow up across the Sierra Nevadas by Christmas Day. So if you're flying out to LA or San Francisco, Sacramento, Portland, yeah, kind of dreary looking. You're probably going to have some cooler temperatures. There will be rain in the forecast, but elsewhere across the country, hey, we're looking pretty good. I'm not expecting a whole lot of travel delays with regards to actual, weather events. There should not be weather delays for many folks out there. So let's just kind of take it day by day. We're going to skip ahead through the weekend. because it will be rather quiet. Monday, if you're traveling, looking pretty good just about anywhere. There will be some rain and snow up across the Mountain West, but otherwise, no big travel concerns on Monday. Tuesday, we talked about it. There's going to be that little clipper system that brings some rain and or snow to portions of the mid-Atlantic and New England states. A trailing cold front will make its way through the western Appalachians, so like North Carolina and West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee. It'll be real light rain. So if you're driving up to like Atlanta, you might get a few spritzes of rain on you. Same thing for Charlotte or Nashville, but not enough to really be a deterrent for any travel plans that you might have, because it pretty much fizzles out by the time it reaches our neck of the woods on Wednesday. So your Christmas Eve looking great across the eastern seaboard. If you're staying in Florida, no concerns. It should be sunny pretty much everywhere here across the Sunshine State. And similar story for most of Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama, all of our neighboring states. Looking pretty good. Now, as I mentioned before, if you're heading off to the west, I mean, check it out. San Francisco, 55 and rainy. LA, 63 and rainy. So your Christmas Eve, certainly looking a little bit soggy out on the west coast, but elsewhere across the country, not too much to stick your nose up at. Here, locally at home, we're talking mid-70s. Lots of sunshine out there, certainly warmer than normal and warmer than average. Our average high should be around 67, 68 degrees during this time of the year. We are going to be far beyond that. So not only is Santa going to have to put his shorts on or his summer garb for delivering presents, but I think most of us will as well. Actually, he might have to kind of hose down the reindeer, give them a little bit of a bath, maybe open up a swimming pool or a kiddie pool for them to cool off in after their long night's journey delivering presents to kids all around the world. Because, they might be a little bit warm. I mean, mid-70s for us, that is a warm Christmas. And I feel like we always kind of deal with that here. Is it going to be, warm and feel like a Florida Christmas? Or are we going to get like a blast of cooler air that has temperatures in the 50s, maybe even the 40s? Not the case this year. Really no concerns locally for your Christmas Eve or your Christmas Day. It's looking fantastic. If you're staying in Jacksonville, if you're traveling to Orlando, Tampa, Miami, temperatures for you folks going to be right around about 80 or in the low 80s for areas along and south of I-4. So most of Florida looking warm and quiet for the Christmas holiday next week. Now, we talked a little bit about if you're traveling, really shouldn't be weather impacts to any travel plans that you have, although the West Coast will see some rain, perhaps some mountain snow. But if you're hoping to see more snow, if you want to see a white Christmas, you're not going to find it here. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about where are some places you might be able to see a white Christmas. We'll check out the top 5 locations, at least in my book and in my forecast, of where you might see some snow on the ground for your Christmas holiday next week. Stay tuned. Come back. We'll talk about it. Ba-da-da-dum, bum, bum. Bum, ba-dum, ba-da-da-dum, bum, bum. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. And you're not going to get it here on the First Coast. Far from it. Frosty and any snow that we would ever see in your long and wildest dreams would melt within about the first 10 minutes. So, where could you maybe see a white Christmas? We'll kind of go across the country here. This is forecasted snowpacks for next Thursday on Christmas Day. The Sierra Nevadas out towards Mammoth Mountain, Lake Tahoe. Could you maybe see some snow? Sure. The Cascades up in Seattle, or at least in Washington, not in Seattle, I should say, but in the state of Washington. Yeah, of course. Jackson Hole, great place in the Grand Tetons there, south of Yellowstone. Going to be a lot of snow there. So, the Rockies, of course, there's going to be snow, but it might be kind of hard to get to. So, let's give you a few more logical and logistically better spots for you. How about International Falls or Duluth, Minnesota? Going to be a little bit chilly up there. They might have a few inches on the ground. Similar story for Eau Claire and Rhinelander, Wisconsin, Marquette, Michigan, up there on the upper peninsula of Michigan. They get a lot of lake effect snow. They are expecting probably to have 3 to 5 inches of snow on the ground. But probably the easiest spot to get to might be in upstate New York. We're talking the Adirondack Mountains, Watertown, New York. So this is going to be just to the east of Lake Ontario, where those kind of dark blues and purples are. Yeah, a couple inches of snow could be seen there from that system that's going to make its way across the Mid-Atlantic and New England states on Tuesday. Could drop a couple inches of snow for those folks. Burlington, Vermont, probably not a great place because they sit a little bit too close to Lake Champlain and the water there. And most of the snow going to be just to the east of Burlington. But Montpelier, so the capital, right in the center of Vermont. Great place. They're expecting perhaps more than 6 inches of snow to be on the ground by Christmas Day. So if you had trouble looking at the map and trying to figure out what were the good places, I tried to simplify it for you. Here's my top 5. Jackson Hole, International Falls, Marquette, Old Watertown, and Montpelier, Vermont. There's your top 5 places. If you want to see a white Christmas, if you have nothing to do, nowhere to go for Christmas, and you want to see some snow, and you want a white Christmas, this is the best options for you, at least in the forecast. Unfortunately, most of the country is not going to see much snow this Christmas. It is going to be a good bit warmer for many folks, especially across the southeast and the eastern seaboard. Will not be all that chilly. Certainly won't be too chilly here by the end of next week. But tomorrow, don't forget, we do still have that frost advisory in place for our inland locations, western Duval and Nassau County.